do my face afterwards. So you'll see, because I have a demonstration of some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. So let me first bring up the presentation.
Yep.
Can you see that okay?
Not yet.
Okay.
We did a dry run on Monday. So we know it's going to work. It's just a matter of...
one screen hides the other. Having two monitors is great, but unfortunately it doesn't always work that way. All right.
Working.
All right, let's go into full mode here. Puts it on the other screen. Are you seeing both screens?
Yes.
I think with the three dots, you can just do hide the mode.
Yeah, or pick
Presenter.
the correct, the single monitor where the big one is, and then you can do slideshow mode.
Yeah, I got to find out how do I get out of here again.
See if you can get it like
okay.
Monday.
See if I can bring this other one in.
There you go. Now just do slideshow and you'll be perfect.
Wait, the little one that you see here?
Yeah, the little, TV thing at the bottom, slideshow.
Yeah, no, I was looking. I for some strange reason, it's showing up on both of my monitors, and the one I want is on the other screen.
You could always change the monitor you're presenting on to.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to do that without.
Oh, go down to where it says share screen. When you pick share screen, you pick the one that has the one you want on it. Because right now you're not sharing.
All right, so share screen.
And Olivia, there's a person who would like to
Here's the one I want.
Volunteer for New Haven and chat. So grab that. Perfect.
Okay, now we're back to normal.
Thank you.
I've done this a couple of times at various organizations. Usually it's much more exciting when you do it in person because you get a chance to go in an hour before the room is starting to be populated, and you get to place bugs and devices all over the room. I usually have a young lady that helps me with this operation. She'll wear a hidden microphone on her and start conversations with people so that we can get a good flavor of what's happening. And you'd be surprised some of the interesting things you get. And I record it all. And then, of course, I give the person the tape at the end of the meeting so that they don't feel they're going to get blackmailed after we're through. But you'll see some of the devices that I use when we do this. All right, page. So I found this iceberg picture, and it kind of talks about the whole problem. Is that in 1 hour, we're not ever going to talk about anything more than just the tip of this iceberg. In fact, we'll be lucky to get even close to the top. There's so much out there. There's so much changing every day. Technology is one of our biggest problems right now. And while technology can control the activity levels by monitoring what's going on and checking insights and putting securities and firewalls in place and watching buildings and doing all the physical security stuff. The biggest problem is people. People are the ones that cannot be controlled as easily as one would expect. So let's talk about some of the things, and I'll give you a flavor of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about why this corporate espionage is done. We'll get into the people that do it, and we'll talk about just about how big this problem is. Then we're going to get into some methods. There's some overt methods that are very obvious, and there are some covert methods, and those are the ones that most people find intriguing. The overt ones are, by the way, the ones that kind of hurt the most. And we have some protection methods. How do you protect the people? And how do you use the people? How do you protect your paper? Some places are still using paper in a lot of fashion. It's still the most secure in a lot of areas, and you can actually get rid of it a lot faster and without any residue. Information, how do you protect the information? and some of the physical things that would be used to protect all of your information and your facilities. By the way, most of the stuff that we're going to talk about that can be used in the corporate world can also be used in your private world. So if you take notes on some of these, and you'll see some resources at the end, it'll give you a rough idea of how to use and the information. So let's define what pretty much corporate espionage is. It's a gradual and continuous siphoning off of secrets without arousing the suspicion of the victim. So you might have a customer, you might have a coworker, you might have a sales representative who are asking a lot of questions. And sometimes they're taking notes, and sometimes they're recording those notes and you don't know it. And eventually they put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and they have a profile of either the individual, the company, or the products, or how things are being manufactured. There's a lot of ways that this works. And you should also understand too that this is no different than what the government does when they send spies into various countries. And just as a side note, you'll be interested to know that our allies are here spying on us as well as us spying on them. So there really is no secrecy between all of the countries. So why do we do it? One of the things we do it for, or people do it, is to gain some competitive information. Now, there is a thing called competitive intelligence gathering, and that is perfectly legal. It's easily done. Everybody does it, and you don't hurt anybody when you're gaining that competitive intelligence activity. You're trying to find out a lot of different things about why their products are being sold faster than your products, or why are they getting to market faster than you are. And some of the information that you'll get are sales information, dollars, who to buy from, technical information, little bits of technology. And I got to tell you, at this point, the people that are kind of involved in providing all of this information to someone are your engineers. So if anybody's in purchasing, you probably know that engineers or sales reps talk to engineers without you knowing about it. And all of a sudden the engineer comes down and they've got a great product they want you to buy from a non-approved supplier. And the next thing you know, you're qualifying a new supplier, but you really don't know how much information the other company has gained from you. I mean, salespeople are always interested. Well, how much do you pay for this? Who do you buy it from? What kind of lead times do you have? That's all competitive information, but it can also lead to espionage work too, depending on how it's used in the end. Same thing with the technical. Technology is driving a lot faster today than it ever has been. Problem is you can't get the electronic components to do the work, but technical activity is really very strong. And when you start seeing things going quickly, you have to understand that the technology is only progressing as fast as the salespeople can get the information or the drawings get done. But every time you release drawings or you send people out to do things, you're jeopardizing the information that you have in your background.
Art, over here at Excelis, we do any new supplier, any correspondence, any new customer, we make them do an NDA, because especially, and the salespeople didn't totally understand that up front, but whenever we quote, the customer can take that quote and go to the competitor and say, hey, here's what Excelis is doing. So can you do that? So now we do, before we even quote, we make them do an NDA.
Right. Yeah. And well, most companies do that as well. I've worked for a lot of companies, and that's the first thing that you do before the person even goes past the front door.
Yep.
So another reason why corporate espionage occurs is to seek revenge. You have a company employee that has just felt he's been wronged or a customer that has been wronged. And so they go out and they collect negative information or about the company to spread lies and rumors and destroy the reputation, or they try to collect information of something that was a product that they were working on, and they said, well, I'm going to sell this secret to the other company and then they'll be the first to market. So there's kind of the revenge part of that. But there's also those people out there that are actively engaged as entrepreneurs, and they do it for profit. They identify somebody that needs some type of information. They will then figure out who has that information, and they'll figure out a way to penetrate that company and collect that information, and then turn around and share those secrets with with a competitor or multiple competitors, or sell it to the highest bidder. Typically, these are the type of people that are brokers, information brokers. They collect information and they go off and do things with it. So let's talk a little bit about who is actually doing it. And we talked about competitors. Competitors will want your information. A disgruntled employee is going to be that one person that is going to try to take revenge on something. His idea didn't get picked, or he thought it was a great idea and somebody else got credit for it. And there's all kinds of reasons. You've probably all seen this kind of stuff or heard people complaining in the office. The unsuspecting loyal employee. These are your engineers and other people who are giving the secrets away, and no one really knows what they don't know that they're doing that. They're thinking they're doing a great job for the company by trying to find the best deal, and it's always going to be negative when people find out that the loyal employee has turned around and just gave the secrets to the world. All right, and then we just talked a little bit about the entrepreneur. So these are basically the types of people that does it, and then there can be more, but there's always an opportunity to add another person in here. All right, how big is it? It's very big. The last time I did this, I was a lot less, but recent studies have told that the estimated companies lose up to over $100 billion per year, and it's growing. It started, all kinds of companies, small ones, little ones, bigger ones, medium ones, large corporations. And it started really growing in the 1990s, and that happened because the internet was starting to become more prolific. And it continued right into the 2000s that we're right in right now. And every day it changes. And one of the reasons it has become so easy is because gadgets and devices, and now the internet and technology has made it a lot easier to go out and gather these things, and the cost has come down, and you can find things a lot easier on the internet. Just if you're looking for something, just Google something that you want, like covert cameras or private recording devices or something like that. You'll see that there's a whole rash of things that you can find. And the reason it all starts to occur a lot more too is there is kind of a gradual erosion of the marketplace, the workplace. People really don't have any real company loyalty now. I mean, you got people coming in and they stay for a year and then they go off to another company. And I know some of that is because of financial activity. They can gain more money by moving to another company quickly, or they just come in, just gather the information they want and then leave. So there's a lot of different things. So those are some of the activities that happen here. All right, I want to talk to you about one of the protection devices. Back in 1996, the economic espionage occurred. Congress passed a law I've incorporated the link to that law in the bottom of this presentation. So if you're really having some problems sleeping at night, you can pick up this document and read it. You'll also find out that the bill that passed with the economic espionage law, and it had things about the Boys and Girls Clubs and a couple of other different things in there too. So you get a chance to see a whole bunch of stuff other than the act itself. It basically provides, and the law of prosecution, remedies, penalties, and allows government agencies, law enforcement to start taking action against those companies that have started or have provided information to others or who have penetrated and stolen the information. It's really worth it while to know about this particular law. As I mentioned earlier, the methods are basically two. There's the overt method. That's the one where you go out and you're not really pretending to be a spy, but you're going out and you're collecting information. You're doing it legally and you're doing it surreptitiously in some cases, but you can collect a lot of information from people and from places and from the internet, the news media, in order to find the kind of stuff that you're looking for, and then you filter. It takes a long time. Remember that any type of collection operation requires little bits and pieces of the information, and over time you put this jigsaw puzzle together, and now you have a full picture of the action that you're trying to take or the information you're trying to steal, and so on. The covert method is where you kind of do things behind the scenes, go into work early, go into work, stay lurking late, go in on Saturdays, go in on Sundays, walk around planting bugging devices and then picking them up later on, either cameras or audio, sitting out in the parking lot, collecting information through the windows. And we'll get into some of these tools in a little bit. But the covert method is perhaps most noted for its illegality. If you start stealing secrets and you're doing it in a covert fashion, that makes it a little bit more difficult to claim that, oh, I didn't know that was a secret. Whereas in the overt method, you might have a little leg to stand on. So I didn't realize that was a real secret. I just saw this paper on the printer, and I thought it was one of mine when I pulled all the rest of them. So I just didn't know. You can come up with all kinds of excuses.
Hey, Art, there was
Yes.
a question that says in chat, does espionage happen to top down, known by management, or a department acting secretly in a company? How does that most often happen? And that's Angelo who's asking.
Yeah, Angelo, that's actually part of this presentation, and yes, it does. There could be a corporate directive from one company to go out and find out the secrets of this other company. And you'd be surprised how often that occurs. So as I put down here, I said who the victims are, and it's pretty much everyone. Companies, individuals, organizations, depends on what kind of activity the person is engaging in, but everyone can be a victim. So here are some of the overt methods. If you go to trade shows, a lot of things you do is you listen. So you can listen to people, listen to what's going on, listen to the chatter going back and forth. In the restaurant, listen to what's going on. Maybe sit in the cafeteria, figure out a way to get into the cafeteria and kind of talk about it. There's databases that are out there. There's the LexisNexis type databases where you can go out and get all kinds of information. There's a database for just about any kind of activity that you want to talk about. So you just have to know how to do the searches. And right now, the best way to do a search is to know how to do the bowling type activity and creating a search terms, throw it up into the Google search engine, and it'll go out and find all these databases and then we'll give you the results that you're looking for. Newspapers, public media, all that kind of stuff. Everything's out there on the web, including some things that maybe you don't know about yourself. You can go to exhibits and trade shows. Salespeople love to talk about their new product. They love to talk about their new designs. They love to talk about the cost and the structure and how long it took to get it to market, if it was fast, and or complain about how slow it took and things like this. So trade shows are a good source for that. And all of these, by the way, are good activities to use for just standard competitive intelligence that you might get involved with. There are the field sales force people. They come out, visit you. They have information. And as Ken had mentioned, you go to one company and you say, I have a problem. I'd like trying to solve this. And the field guy comes up with a solution for you, or you have a solution and you tell the field sale force, this is what I want. And the next thing you know, they give you that they give you what you want, and they go over to the next company and they say, geez, we have the same problem over here. And the guy, oh, I know exactly how to fix that. Over at this company A, they do it this way. So you could use that methodology too. So they just gave away maybe your secret. Or your Salesforce people are out doing the same thing to your competitors. You can always buy something, reverse engineer it. Everybody knows that we find companies all over the world that do that. False market studies. People call up, they want to do a market study. What do you see the market going? What are you kind of doing here? What kind of technology are we seeing in the future? All that stuff kind of goes on. And the next thing you know, they take all these little tidbits and they put it together in a market study, but they really don't publish it any place except they keep the information and then they use it for something else. I remember when I worked in the fiber optic industry back in the 1980s, right in its infancy, we would get a company calling us up. They were doing a market survey. They wanted to know everything about the fiber optic market, what we were doing, what we were quoting, all that kind of stuff. And our marketing guys would give it to them. And then the next thing you know, you walk around and you start seeing a whole big listing of the fiber optic market is $4 billion, when in fact it was in its infancy and it was only probably 100 things. They took all the information that everybody was quoting, and they're all quoting the same companies, and that's how they got that information. It was really, really kind of a sad survey, to be honest with you, but that's the way they worked.
Art,
Yeah, I hear a radio, but it's not mine.
and I'm looking at the participant list and there's no other microphone on that's moving. I don't know. I'll just mute everybody. So except you, of course.
All right, sounds good. Public information is, well, we already talked a little bit about that. Employment interviews. There's an interesting one here. Companies will look at another competitor and they'll try to entice a individual at that place to come work for them. So they'll offer them an interview and give them a nice salary range to make it enticing. They go in for the interview, and what ends up happening is they never get the job, but they've also been asked a lot of questions about what they've done at that company. I mean, we've all been in interviews. What did you like? What do you do? Tell me about your accomplishments, the standard questions. And then you just add some more of that information to, or more to that pull down information. And the next thing you know is that they have just given you the information that you wanted. And then when you call them back, you say, well, we had 5 candidates and we had to narrow down to 2 and we had 1. Or you come up with a standard lie. By the way, like the CIA would tell you, it's a small truth, but a big lie. We had some information come back and we're not sure we're going to get the contract. And so we're going to hold off on this position for a while. Headhunters are the same thing. You can employ headhunters to do the same thing, and they would be the unsuspecting employee or that's working for you because they're thinking they're looking to find an employee for you, and they have the same problem as you do the interview if you did it yourself. So the headhunters can help, but they don't always necessarily provide you with all of the details that you need. But they could be the unsuspecting individual that steals the information from you and gives it to another person, another competitor. Because once you have a headhunter that has you listed in their database, they're going to try to find you a job. So they might start looking for another company that's a good fit and offer your resume to that particular person. And then next thing you know, they might be going off and hitting another company. Outside employees, it's the same thing as most of all of these things, that every time we have an outside employee that comes in, brand new from the outside, you don't know if you've hired them, if they are really who they say they are or not. I mean, you can make up a legend for anybody. And I know that people do background checks, but you can always set the background checks up so that they go to the right individuals and the right information. And that's all a basic lie in some cases. The covert methods. This is the fun stuff, right? Trespassing on the property. Drive around, look at the parking lot, see what's going on, check the building out. Hide in the car, doing some secret observation. Who's coming? Who's going? You know, electronic eavesdropping. You can use laser devices to put a signal on a window in a conference room. The window will vibrate with the voices inside. And if you have a receiver on the other end, they get the reflection back. You can actually record the conversation going in the room. You have to use a near infrared laser so that it doesn't put the dot on the window. Otherwise, people will know that you're doing it. But there are some devices that are out there. I can tell you that some buildings that I've worked at, the windows are protected, so you can't even get a radio frequency, a two-way handheld to work through the windows. So it becomes a problem if you're using the radios in the building to communicate for emergencies or other activities. So you can protect the buildings that way. So you can go out and hire, well, I should say the electronic eavesdropping thing. Also involves, you go in for a sales call or you go into the lobby and you start planting little bugs. And we've all seen the spy movies where somebody sits there and they have a radio transmitter that's in his fingers and they put it underneath the desk or underneath the chair and things like that. But there's other devices. I'll show you some other things that you might find kind of interesting. Hire a competitor. So get that employee in, hire them. After you've got the information you need or the project you want, you could terminate them. There's happened that a lot of times. There are companies that buy other companies for the technology, and then when they integrate them in after 6 months or a year, they start laying them off. Now, here's the question that we were asked earlier: placing an agent. You could identify somebody out there and that's going to work for you, and you put them into the building as one of the people that you want to help steal the information. Could be a restaurant worker in the cafeteria, could be a custodian, could be somebody going in to checking on the fire alarm system or the fire extinguishers or the door locks. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do, and while they're there, they're placing information devices, collection devices around the building. You could hire a spy. There's a lot of spies out there that are looking for work. They used to work for the governments and, or they're retired and they need something to do. It's kind of hard, you know, you go to work for the CIA or the KGB when they was around, or the GRU, and come back out of the industry after 45 years and you're looking for a job. It's kind of hard to put on a resume that you were a spy for 45 years. No one's going to hire you for that. You know? Can you imagine asking the questions? Well, geez, you know, tell me what your best accomplishments were. Well, I planned and executed a coup in South Vietnam or something like that. That doesn't work. Can I see another question up there?
I have a quick question for you, and then there is one here too. But you know, would a HR background check pick up on that? And then I'll answer that one, and I'll hit you up with the other question.
It could, and it can. If you're looking at hiring a professional spy that's doing things, they know how to create a cover, and it's called a legend. And you have to memorize it. And you do, and the basic thing that it works on is you're telling a small truth but a big lie. Yeah, yes, I lived in Connecticut, and that's a true fact. I did live in Connecticut for about 10 years, but I could talk about the places that I lived and all that kind of stuff. And I don't live there now anymore, but I could come up with all of the types of things that happened back in the days. And so if somebody would question me, and I could probably come up with a legend under my other name. And I used to use a couple of different names when I would do this. Ken will remember I always was introduced as Arnold Harrison, not Art Harvey. And and it was one of those things that no one would know. And I was in Connecticut, or I was on this particular street. I went to this particular school, and you can do that. And can a background check pick it up? Maybe. And a lot of it depends on whether you create, and you can create, a second social security number that is not the one that you use for your normal living. Uh, you have writers, the fiction writers that have nom de plurals, and they go out there with different names, and no one knows who they are, and stuff. So there's some of the problems that you have with HR. Did that answer your question, Ken?
Yeah, thank you so much. And the other one was you were talking about, people coming in and they interview you for an hour and they get all kinds of info. Well, question says 1 hour consultant. It's not a question. 1 hour consultant sessions are very popular on LinkedIn too. So I guess that's a way that people are interviewing others
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
With COVID, a lot of the interviews we're seeing right now are all virtual interviews. So you really don't have a real good chance to talk to them to see some of the other stuff that they've been involved with.
At our company, we require all interviews to be, if they're virtual, have to have your camera on. We don't want to make sure it's not a hacker that's in some other country that's trying to get in and steal stuff from us. So we make the camera be on, and even that isn't perfect. So then we have a company we hire to do background check, computer wise, check references, etc. So.
Yep. We already talked a little bit about the false market surveys, phony licensing arrangements. You might go over and say you have a technology, or you want to license some information with the intent that you're going to start a business in another country, and you want to be able to license the technology from the company that you're trying to penetrate. And then also you get the technology, and then you kind of disappear. The last two are kind of interesting. There's blackmail. Get some dirt on one of an unsuspecting loyal employee, and then blackmail that person to go out and collect the information for you from the company that he works at or she works at. And then there's always extortion, where you might find that some dirt on the company, and then you turn around or on an individual, and you use that extortion to go ahead and force them to give you the information that you're looking for. Remember, you don't have to have it all at once. You just need little bits and pieces to make it work. So we talk a little bit about this entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the one that's not really in the business of working for companies. They have many hats. They do different things, and they go out and they'll start collecting information. As I mentioned earlier, figure out who has something that's worth stealing, go ahead and steal it, and then turn around and sell it. We already talked about the unsuspecting employee, the one that works for you, or the one that you've hired to find you an employee who's collecting finding the candidates, and then you're asking those candidates the things about the places they worked. Also, you have the unsuspecting employee who's given the information away because they don't understand the information sharing protocols at your company, or they don't understand that what they're telling people is not really something they should be telling everybody, like prices and suppliers and things like that. I know as a buyer, I always look, if somebody asks me, well, what are you paying? And, you know, if I'm looking at a particular item, I would expect the salesperson to come in who would know all the competition that's out there, and they would give me the price that they want to pay me, not just say, okay, well, I've given them, you know, $2, they'll give it to me for 10 cents less than what I'm paying for it now. And as we talked a little bit earlier, there is the corporate directive. Someone has been told by upper management to go out and find anything you can about a company. The dirt about the company, the negative about the company, the secrets of the company, so that you can then turn around and use that to as an extortion or as a blackmail, or you can use it to bring your product to market faster and or destroy the company that your competition is at. So there, it does happen. So some of the tools, well, we've always referred to or heard the things about bugs, you know, gadgets and other devices that we might talk about. And they fall into basically three categories. There is see a secret, there is hear a secret, and steal a secret. I'll show you some of those things when we get to it, but see a secret. Cameras. Walk into a place, anybody tell you that you have to leave your iPhone or your cell phone that has a camera at the gate when you walk in? But no one said you couldn't take in a pen that looked like a camera, that had a camera built into it, and put it into your shirt pocket. No one says you can't have a button on your shirt that is actually a camera lens that is recording things that are in your pocket. So those are some of the things that are out there. I mean, if any of you remember, maybe some of the not the James Bond, but the Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise, and he had a pair of glasses with the camera in it. They exist, and you can buy them really relatively inexpensively. So don't think that just because it's in the movies, it's not real. Hear a secret. Hearing devices, induction devices that go on the company corporate telephones. There's a bunch of electronic devices you can plant in the telephone. Now, not many people are using telephones any longer, and where a lot of them are using their cell phones because we're all working from home. But there are some technologies where people are still at the office and there's phones that are still being used. Listening devices, there's a thing it's been marketed as a thing called a big ear. It's a parabolic cone that has a microphone in it, and it picks up sounds and records it, or transmits it, or puts it into an audio amplifier that you can listen to with your headphones. There are opportunities now with technology to turn on a television set, Larry, and listen and use the speaker as a listening device to find out what's going on. I mean, people do it with computers all the time. So you have a microphone in your computer, and you can turn that on and remotely have somebody pick it up, and you wouldn't even know it's on.
All right, can I ask you something about that right now? I'm on classified ops programs where I work, right? And I know somebody's trying to get into my computers and banging on my door. I got as many things I can do to keep this thing secure. Now, you open the door here now. Is it possible that they can access my TV and listen to what I'm doing? Or of course, the first time I'm just watching TV, so I'm not doing nothing. But is that, how would I know, and how would I be able to find out if that thing's happening?
Well, it's very difficult to know because there's no light that comes on and says your microphone is recording. The only thing you can do is protect the device. Now, if the device is connected to the internet, you
Yes.
could do what's
Well,
called
it's connected. Yes, it's connected to my router.
yeah.
So, and then the router is connected to everything else.
So the question would be, do you need to have it connected because you're trying to do searches on the web? And if the answer is no, then you would do what's called an air gap. You still use a computer. Maybe you get the information you need, and then get off the internet. And it's as simple as disconnecting the landline, the LAN connector from the device, or you can actually buy switches and put it right beside your keyboard so that when you're talking or listening or using the internet, you can turn it on, and then when you're all done, you can turn it off. So those
I'll
are
look
those.
into something.
Yeah, I can help you find those places. You'll have my email address in the bottom when this is done. You can always email me.
Yeah, I want the whole presentation too.
Geez,
I
Art,
think-
I'd ask you how you know all
Yeah.
this stuff, but I'm afraid you'd have to kill us all, so I won't ask that.
That's not fun.
No, it's yeah, we'll get into that later on. Does that help, Larry?
Look, it makes me. I hope it'll make me sleep better at night. That's it.
Okay.
Stupid TV going on. Get the ghosts out of.
Well, there's a simple switch thing for that, just unplug it when you're not using it. Then there's the steal the secret. Now, the stealing can occur in many different ways. It can be done by electronics, where people have accessed your internet system or intranet at the office, and your files and your servers, and now they're all in. They have access to everything that's going on in that building. They can walk in. And just by accident, they know that a particular secretary is involved in doing work for the CEO, and she always prints things to a public printer, and she goes over to and you sort of sit there by the public printer with a cup of coffee, looking like you're waiting for something to happen. And sure enough, when the paper comes out, you grab it and put it in with your other papers that you've been holding there as a decoy, and then kind of walk off. And when she arrives, it's not there, so it goes back to the office and reprints it again, thinking that maybe it got stuck someplace. But stealing the secret is not as easy as one would think. You just can't go in and grab the information in one packet and then leave. I mean, the days of James Bond going in with a mini camera and grabbing the information, or Tom Cruise stealing the disc, that's all gone away. And we'll talk a little bit more about this one in a few minutes. So in order to do all this, you need a camera. And I told you that cameras are in your cell phone, as you know, but you can also use long telephoto lens cameras that might be projecting information that you can collect off of a monitor that's going on at a corporate board meeting that has windows around the room. You can get cameras that, as I mentioned, that can go on a button on your shirt, a necktie, a baseball cap, in a bag, in a pen. You name it, you can put a camera any place. They are so small these days that it's almost impossible to be able to find one if someone's got it really, really hidden. Optics, these are talking about telephoto lenses, mirrors that might be able to reflect items that you can see, grabbing information from the internet on someone's screen that they're not looking at. If people have their monitors set up so their back is to the window and the monitor is in front of them, as they're moving around, then you can kind of capture the screenshots if you want. There are video cameras that are just as small as the other cameras that we were talking about earlier, and they can record. You can get them as small as a quarter. And they'll record them onto a small microchip, and then you just take it out and go back to your location, and you use a small video VCR to decode it. Chemical's a different one. You're getting in some mail, and you want to see something that's in that envelope, but if you open up the envelope, you know it's going to get ruined, and you really can't seal it up. But if you had a spray can of carbon tetrachloride used to clean electronic circuits, you could spray that envelope and it will make it transparent, and you can read the information inside. And then when it dries, it leaves no residue and no smell. So there's some options there. There's a company called Eden Press. They're kind of like a survivalist bookstore, if you will, and they have a bunch of books that you can go out and gather. One's called Flaps and Seals. It's the CIA manual for opening and closing letters and envelopes. So if you want to get some good techniques, there's you can go there and do that. So chemicals can be a way to do it. If you also want to look at something that that is in a brown envelope, it'll also work as well.
Hey, Art, if you use that tetra, whatever it is, stuff, you know, and it dries and then nobody knows you used it, but there's no smell left behind or anything?
Yep, nothing. Absolutely inert. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, we'd never know.
You would never know.
Interesting.
All right, to hear the bugs, I said bugs are really small. There's the radio frequency bugs that we're always talking about, and those are the real small little RF devices that you might see planted in under chairs in conference rooms and buildings. Might be in walls, might be in a plug. You know, those charging cubes that you have for your cell phones. Well, you can get those with a radio frequency device in there that will also record video and audio and transmit it someplace else in the building and to someone's iPhone. You could use a laser, as I mentioned earlier, to bounce it off of a window and hear what's going on by the reflection and the vibration. There was an actual kit that you could buy from Popular Electronics years ago, where it was advertised in the magazine and somebody had put the kit together. So if you had the money back then, you could go out and make your own. It was very big. It didn't end up, but it did work from what I hear. And there's amplifiers, the big ear, the parabolic microphones that you might hear, or large telescoping microphones that are designed that are directional, where you pick up the information from a local area, and then you have to put amplifiers on the back of them so you can hear. And the amplifiers are so good these days that you can really increase the amplification to hear everything that's going on. The stealing gets a little bit more interesting. There are books out there that you can buy on how to break into a building. You know, and how to open up a door, how to open up a safe, how to get into a get in on the internet and try to hack somebody and get the information you need. There's also entry tools. A lot of these entry tools that you see in the private eye movies, you know, Magnum PI, where they have this little envelope that they are little wallet they pull out these little lock picks on. I mean, those are out there. And then there are other ones that you can put onto a door that separates the frame and the door opens. And then when it closes, you never know that somebody's been in because there's no damage. So there's a lot of options to get into that thing, get into a building if you really want to see it. And if you have to get into a file cabinet, I have a little book that I'm going to show you later on. It shows you how to make a duplicate key so that you can go in and open up the file cabinet after hours when you're skulking around the office after everybody's gone home. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that, you know, the protection activity that's going on. I gave you all of the things. In order to do a good job as a corporate protection area, you need to be able to know how everything works. So knowing how the activities are done allows you to be better prepared to figure out whether something is happening in your building. So you have to look for suspicious activity, things that are going on in your building. People that are working late, people that are not working late, people that are working on the weekends, people that don't seem to be at their desk all the time. Wandering around, looking at things, maybe not carrying anything other than a piece of paper, and so it looks like they're out trying to deliver something. Then you have the other one about some reasons for the acts. You know, why might they be doing something? We all know that people have bad days and they have good days, and there are some people that will have just constantly grumbling. And they are the ones that you want to kind of see what's going on. Well, do you know that this person has been slighted by a coworker or slighted by their supervisor or did not get the promotion they expected? You know, if they're always grumbling, then they may be performing some of this suspicious activity and have a reason for the act. Or if you know the person directly is affected, you might know that, well, they were slighted, and now all of a sudden they seem to be acting differently. And then you say, oh yeah, they just got laid off, or oh yeah, they just got slighted or got written up for something. And that might be some of the things you're looking for. And so there are these things called factors of susceptibility. I think everybody at any office environment has different policies on how you handle your electronics. Is your laptop have a cable lock on it and it's bolted to the desk so that you can't get it off? I worked at one company. If they came by and your computer did not have the locking cable on it, they took your computer from security. And then you had to go to your boss and justify why you should get it back. Are you taking your computer and leaving and you're locking the screen before you leave your desk, or do you just walk off? Do you leave the work at night and your desk is cluttered with papers, or do you put them away and lock the cabinet? Those are all kinds of things that would make things to be a little bit more easy for somebody to get into and steal. One of the biggest factors, and this is kind of an interesting thing because of the timing of this meeting. I think everybody knows that October was Cyber Awareness Month. And you probably got inundated by your IT team for refreshing your security protocols, and you're taking lessons and going through the 1 or 2 hours that you had to get, so you can get that nice little certificate to put in your folder and that you completed it. Well, this is the reason why we do it. If the people are not aware of the risks that are going on in the world, then they're probably going to be those unsuspecting employees that are going to give away the secrets. Sit back and think a little bit. How much time do you spend on the internet looking for things while you're at work? Now, I know companies have policies that allow you to do some of that, but do you know really where you are? Do you do your personal email on your computer at work? Are you checking things like that? There's all kinds of stuff, because you're gonna get emails from people that might have viruses in them. You might have seen some of these videos, somebody walks by and leaves a thumb drive on your desk or on the floor, and you turn around and you pick it up and you say, oh, what's this? And you try it out, and all of a sudden you just put a bug into your system, and now the person that dropped it there has access to all of your secrets. So the employees are the ones that have the best protection for the company. And then they have to ask the question, well, what will make employees more aware? I would suspect that most people complain that, oh, I got to do this again. I just did it last year. And do they know that what happens when they look? Because I think a lot of times when we talk about these sessions that we have to go through every year, they don't really talk about locking computers. They don't talk a lot about locking up your screen or your keyboard, shutting the computer down at night when you leave if you don't take the laptop home. There's all those kinds of things that people need to be aware of. And these last 2 points and the information that you might have had to take during those classes that you are required to take every year are probably what's going to help protect you at your home and your home environment. Anybody get on Facebook and say, hey, I'm over here? I just checked in someplace. Anybody that's watching Facebook and sees that says, oh, they're not at home. I can go to their house and I can steal stuff.
I'm not on, I got rid of my Facebook account. I got rid of all access to anything. Nothing. My computer is like impossible. I think my friend buddy Don is doing this. He's also very conscious about security. But like you said, there's always something else you're forgetting, you know?
Yep. I mean, you'd be surprised some of the stuff that's going on right now. There's a thing happening on the internet where somebody will send you a Facebook a friend request, and it's a picture of the person that you know, and you think it's, so I thought I was already a friend with that person, and you click on it, and the next thing you know, it's taking you to a website to that person, saying, hey, I just found out I got an email from somebody, and they said I won an award, and as I was signing off on the award, I noticed that your name was on the list too. And so they want you to sign up on, go check the list. And as you go into and start looking into it more and more, you find out they want to know, well, how, what they ask you questions like, do you own your own house? They give you a whole survey. Where do you live? Because they're going to send a UPS driver over that's going to have you deliver the check that you just won, and you're going to be able to, and you have to sign for it. And then after you've gone through giving them all the information, they turn around, they ask you, well, how much do you want? And if you want, $500,000, just send us $10,000. I mean, it's fine. If you want $50,000, send us 10. If you want $1,000,000, then you need to send, just send us have a check ready for $200,000 or $20,000, whatever the numbers are. And then you just found out that what you've done is you've just been had by the company. But unfortunately, at that point, it's too late. You have already given them your information. You already have told them where you live, what your age is, whether you own the home, all of the other details. And guess what? These guys are in India. And they're going to turn around, take this information, and they're going to sell it. So kind of makes you wonder whether you start needing to do two-factor certification on all of your internet activity that is financial. Credit card notices. If somebody charges a credit card, you get a notice. If you want to check your bank balance, you have to put in a code from the bank. All kinds of different stuff. So this is all this awareness stuff. The same thing happens at the company. People will send you an email at the company, and then you have the items that you just look at and say, well, is this a real email? I'm not going to repeat the stuff that you all got from the security information that your company put up, but it's there for a reason, and that's why.
So Arthur, Angelo, our IT had told us, you get a suspicious email, we have a phishing link, so we send it to our IT. But if you hover over the link, right, it's going to be not from LinkedIn.com. It's going to be LinkedIn.com or LinkedIn and like a whole spew of garbage that you don't even know, right? And then it's going to be taking you somewhere else. So we're always hovering over links to see if it's actually the place.
Yep, that's exactly right. Anybody get a telephone text saying that your bank account has been frozen and they want you to call this number and so that you can unfreeze it?
I got the text, yeah. And then I just yelled to my wife, did we buy something and it's going to Memphis? No. But we always go in from outside. We never use the email, the links, the executable stuff. We just go in as if we were going to go into Amazon or something.
Log in through your own favorite.
Yeah.
Saved, bookmark, yep.
Yep. Yeah, you should always, if you get a text or an email from somebody, you should always go on to the website that works, that you signed up with. That way you're protecting yourself. And it's the same thing with the company. We had a company send me a change of remittance address for somebody. And I kind of picked it up right away, and I contacted my accounts payable department, and I asked them if this was real, and they said that they would look at it, and came back about a day later and said, nope, this is not legit. And I contacted the supplier that we were buying these things, selling to and buying things from, and sure enough, they were hacked, and they actually had somebody send a remittance to the other company, and they lost about $100,000, and they couldn't recover that. And it was a small company. So it's a big problem.
The IT training we get over here at Excelis, they talk about, these fake emails, it's always $399 for some reason. Did you not charge this? Call us, give us your credit card number and we'll check to see if it really was, so you give out your credit card number. Like really, they create a sense of urgency, and it's almost always, you can see a misspelling in it and some fakeness that goes along with it, usually,
Right.
or hovering over the link, like Angelo said. Those are all good points.
Yeah, no, a lot of this is just common sense security. But if you think that the common sense security things that we're talking about can actually go into major penetrations into your systems at work. And while they may use the disguise as, this little activity of the charge or whatever, what they're doing is once you click on it, you've actually downloaded the link, and then they can go in anytime they want and start pulling down the information they want. Some additional protection areas, paper and document control. A lot of stuff is eyes only, and they don't put it on the internet. They don't put it on a computer. They don't have it any place. So if you want to see the document, you got to go into a secure location with somebody that's a security officer, and they open up the safe and they pull out the document. You read the document, and then you give it back, and then they put it away. But it goes a little bit further than that. Sending drawings and prices and quotes and things to suppliers and to customers should always be done through a confidential, secure website. And yet you get engineers and you get other people that just take a drawing and put it into an email and send it to somebody. And you don't know if that email is going to the right person or not. So it's got to be controlled, because that way they're going, if you have the security documents going through some sort of a cloud server that is being used, or a confidential or a BizCom or something like that, where the person has to enter a password. The document will leave your building encrypted, and it will stay encrypted until the person on the other end opens up the right word with the password. So there's a lot of ways that you can control that.
Arthur,
yes.
let me ask this question about paper documents, and you're saying like for your eyes only. That those paper documents need to be created on something. So if they're created on an electronic device, there's still a footprint out there somewhere, unless it's on a computer that's not even connected to any network at all. Correct?
Yeah, but if you have yeah, that's correct. I mean, if the computer was created and it was air gapped, then you're still going to be someplace in that particular file. So the only access there is then you have to either be able to get a hold of the hard drive to take it, or in some cases, even if it's in an intranet and it doesn't leave the building, you can still use magnetic, devices that would listen to the wire and pick up the signals off of the wire, like, because the wire is going to radiate. Any electric wire will pick up. You'll pick up sound. The only way you cannot do that is to use fiber optic cables where there is no electronic energy passing down the road. And the only way you can use a fiber optic cable to collect data is to take another fiber optic cable, have actual access to the fiber itself, and you kind of bend them together and then one will leak the information into another device, and then you can collect the information that way. But you have to be, if you're going to have a computer that's air gapped and the device, the information's on there, then you need to figure out, have actual physical access to that device to pull it off.
All right, thanks.
One of the things, the best way to get people involved and have your company, you probably is doing it already, is do a security survey. Best way to educate employees, let the employees do a security survey of their own work area. And then let them go out and do a security survey of somebody else's work area, and then share the results. So the security survey should be developed by someone in the company that is responsible for the physical security and information security of the of the company, and they could create that document. And then periodically you go out, you do a survey. One of the other ones that's kind of interesting is you walk around the building, that's if you're in the office, and you see who's at the computer and who's not, and whose computer is on and whose computer is not, and which one is secure and which one is not. And from there, you get an idea of where your possible weaknesses are going to be. We get into the asset protection. That's going to be this is going to be different levels. Right now, your computers are pretty much protected with a VPN if you're outside. But if someone steals it, they could break the password and get in, or they can get the information if they wanted to. There are government computers which have actually cards that you have to insert into a location where it provides all of the encryption data and the decryption information, where that hard drive, which is encrypted, can be opened up. But you have to have that card, and it's usually designed and designated for one particular individual or for a company. It's kind of like an ignition key to your car. That's what turns it on, and that's what turns it off.
Are you having in the possession of one right now? I will also like to add, and I'm glad that the government has done this. My computer is just like all it has on it for the hard drive is information how to keep the computer running. All information's in the cloud, every bit of it. So, and which makes it even 10 times, I don't know, very difficult to get into the cloud. The cloud is impenetrable. So I feel so confident that no matter what I type on here, there's nothing on the hard drive but operating software, which is, I don't know if there's anything else better that you could do.
No, that's actually a good way to go. In fact, a lot of companies are moving towards the cloud for a lot of stuff. Even some of the ERP systems are starting to move to the cloud, like Oracle and SAP. It's a cloud operation now. It's no more going to a server in some other part of the country. From an asset protection point of view, in addition to those particular cards, then there's also using the right device. Like if you're traveling overseas and you don't want people to get your company secrets, the only thing that you should be taking with you is a sanitized computer, and also have maybe all of the files that you might need on a thumb drive that you can use. And typically the type of computer you take is controlled by the company. At one place I worked, you could not leave the country unless you were taking an Apple computer from the IT department that you were given. And when you left, it was sanitized. When you came back, they re-sanitized it again to make sure that it didn't have a problem. All right, so next slide. So the countermeasures, we just talked a lot about training the employees, and observe what's going on. Look at the patterns of work that they're doing. Are they in the building? Are they not? Are they working long hours? Where are they spending all their time? How much time do they spend other places of the building? Those are the kinds of things that you want to look for. From the detection devices, there are devices that you can use to detect phone taps. They still exist, and you can also detect recorders and bugs. If you have cameras, like in a particular room, there's a device that you can get that puts a laser on the wall in a vertical position, and you kind of move about in a 360-degree turn. And if there's a camera lens that's present in the wall, it will send a reflection back to your device, and you'll be able to find it really quickly. Checking for bugs, one of the biggest things you see in the movies, everybody walks into a new room, they turn around, they start checking all the lights, and they check under the sink, they look behind the mirrors on the wall, all that kind of stuff. But you can actually get spectrum analyzers that would do the bug sweeps. They're expensive. They're not often held, and everybody's, I should say everybody's portfolio. But they are getting smaller, and they are getting less expensive. And sometimes all you need is just a little one to be able to catch some of the most simple bugs that you need. And the same thing happens with recorders. Every electronic device provides a signature, and that's one of the things that you're able to use another device to pick up that signature, and you'll be able to find it very quickly. It's like going on a, we call them fox hunts in the amateur radio world. All right, some other odds and ends. I picked up, and this is going to be a lot of reading, so you're not going to get through it. But right now, you can get an idea of these days that are kind of numbered, and this is just a flavor of it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, but this kind of leads to something in the bottom that you'll find interesting. There's this magazine called Handshake, and they kind of like provide a lot of different details of information and what's going on. But they've introduced in this one particular article I found 5 steps that you can follow if you really, really want to be a corporate espionage agent. So I'll send it to you because it's, you have to really spend some time reading this and then decide if this is what you want to do. You can become one of those entrepreneurs. This is the one, it's clone that hard drive. You know, we have all of the different things. You know, they have back in the early days when Vista and OS X was out, there's a lot of things that you could easily do because the software wasn't all that that's secure. But I mean, typically, if you can get a hold of the hard drive, you can clone it. And we all see it happening on the videos, right? And the television, people put a hard drive in to go into the computer. They put a thumb drive into the thing, and they download the entire contents of the computer. I don't know if it really works that fast, but I guess they have only an hour to do this on the television show, so they have to do it in seconds. Here's the cracking of the passcode. You can go through all kinds of different ways, and people have ways to do it. There's a company that authorizes, that has information on how to get in, and even crack the DVD protected devices. So you can take a DVD that has been copyright protected and crack it and send it to somebody. Number 3 is tap the phone line. There's a lot of different things that you can do here. You can get different types of things that will actually have the phone off hook, and you can pick up lines. There's devices you can put in the phone. Now, some of these things were written back in the days of Radio Shack, so you could easily find all of this stuff down at your favorite electronics store called Radio Shack. And although Radio Shack does not exist in its entity that it did before, it does have, there are some places where the Radio Shack still exists on the internet. You can buy things from them. But there are companies that have filled the void and have made it easy to get the devices. Number 4 is stealing the corporate secrets. Well, you know, there's a couple of different areas here. CEOs and board members tend to have even bigger egos and bigger bank accounts. So you know, you can always just talk to them. I mean, they love talking about their company. Here's that information I mentioned about the laser microphone that we talked about earlier. And if you really want to get into us, there's a company called Brickhouse Security. They make a lot of these gadgets for a measly $51,000. It's probably a little bit higher, or as they listed down here, Brickhouse sells a lock picking kit for $25, and you could buy that and go steal it. Go steal the $51,000 device yourself. Last one here is number 5 is the last resort. You can always extort something from somebody. Now, I like the last one here. Is that some spies like to use bribery as well. That might work to get the janitor or the secretary to help you out. But do you really have the cash to bribe an executive? That's the big question. Besides extortion, is a hell of a way to a lot more fun in the seriousness. So all kinds of different options you have here. So if you want to be a spy, this is the 5 steps to do it.
Art, there was a question regarding the books. Is there a book or a resource for creating security surveys? And that's from Chris.
There is, and the Association of Security, Industrial Security, called ASIS, has a whole bunch of different surveys that are already pre-written, Typically, anybody in your in your security operations may be a member, and they can actually download those surveys. And if you want, well, I have access to that as well. I'm a member, and I could probably pull down the survey for you, and then you can modify it any way you want to suit your own need. When you get to the email address, just send me the email, and I'll do what I can to get the information for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Arthur, because I don't have a security team or department. It's a small company, and all this would be super helpful.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. So the last part down here is that if you're really attached to this kind of life, and remember that if you're going to do any of this stuff, it's going to be illegal. So you're committing to a lifestyle, not a career, and you're going to have to change everything. You're going to have to start doing the things that you see on television, you know, like watching where you go and check your facilities, keep an eye on your bag, don't take the same road home twice in the same week, you know, don't leave at the same time every day, don't stop at the same store for your newspaper. All of those different things have to be varied, and you have to be able to vary everything so that you don't feel like you're being followed, because you will be followed if there's somebody suspecting that you're doing this. There's a company called an organization, and here's a book that was called Industrial Espionage, Developing a Counter Espionage Program. It's published by the CRC Press, and you can the website will be available for you to, if you wanted to get this easily. That could help you with some of your activities. Amazon has identified the threats against organizations from industrial espionage as well. So there's a lot of options that you can see here. Another book, International Journal of Business Espionage Control and Countermeasures. They're located down in Washington, up in Washington State, and they actually it's like an organization. It's like Apex. It's like ASCM. It's just like any other organization, and they can help you with all of the types of things that you're looking for. So here are some tips that you can use for preventing. And I'm not going to read them all because it takes a while, but you have to look at, you know, what's the proprietary information and what do you need to protect? Everything doesn't need to be protected, but identify what it is. You know, is there any type of outside interest that people might be looking to blackmail you or extort money from the company? The other thing is that look at the bottom line here. Most often, business espionage is committed by employees. In fact, 80% employees account for 85% of the corporate espionage that took place in the period of time when this $100 billion was reported. So your employees are probably the most leaky people in the building. Shared documents, I don't think we can. Shredding the documents. A lot of companies don't have shredders anymore. They have bins. You drop this document into the bin, and our company comes in and picks up the bin and takes it out. Well, okay, are you sure that's the right company that owns that bin when they come in? And I'll give you a quick story. There was a company, and this happened years ago when a company was observed that was having some information, and what the individuals did is they kept an eye on what was going on with the company and figured out that they saw a blue bin that was moving around at the end of a board meeting. So they wanted to see what was in the board meeting. So what they did is they followed the truck to the company that was going to actually dispose of that. And they came up with a cock and bull story, if you will, about how they're working on a project for their children at school. And it's a paper mache project. And they needed some scrap paper to be able to put this big paper mache dinosaur together. And the company that had the documents said, we got stuff we can give you. So they gave them the bin. And they took the bin home and they put all those shredded pieces of paper back together again by gluing them and taping them, and they got all of the secret documents that they wanted. So unintended employees and loyal employees doing things that they thought they were helping, but they gave the secrets away. I mean, that's what during the Iran Iran crisis, when we had our hostages over in Iran, they tried to shred all the documents and burn them over there. The people that took over the building, they had nothing to do all day long, so they put it was like a big jigsaw puzzle. They kept gluing all of the documents together. They found a lot of our secrets. Avoid printing proprietary information. If you're going to do something, some companies have requirements that you have everything is printed, but it has a confidential on it, or it has something of a mark on it that's going to require you to so I can identify it. Classified, you can put classifications on documents, but that doesn't mean they're not going to leave the building. Make sure that everything's secured. Everybody knows that most quality photocopy machines have an opportunity for a password control, so that if I send a document from my end of the building and I know to a particular printer, I can put a password, and then I can only open that printer when I get there by entering my password and get my copy out. So that's things that should be looked at. Locks.
Many years ago, we did that at Excelis. Before that, people would print their paycheck and they'd run as fast as they could to the printer.
Yeah, yeah, that always happens. So those are the kinds of things that, that's just still available out there. And this one here, physical security, lock anything that's printed. If you don't need it to be, if it's that important, make sure it gets locked. And you can't tell all the time if something is locked or not. So you should get one of these, get signs to put on them, says open or close. The electronic deterrents, we'll get into those. Copy proof technology. I'm going to send all this off so you can actually get a hold of it. But there are ways to print watermarks on your printers, which are the classified, confidential, secure, all of those kinds of different things. There's print encryption devices. Most of us don't use encryption material, but I'll tell you that I'm an amateur radio operator. We're doing things with the United States Air Force right now in what's called the military affiliate radio system, and we're passing encrypted messages over the radio. And we have software on our computers that it takes a plain text message, encrypts it, and you can use that to send it. And there's public keys and private keys, and this technology is available to the common user. So if anybody's interested, I can send you the link, and you could go down and pull off the link and then look at it and see how it works. This is a lot of stuff here, preventing the things, a lot of detail. So to read this is going to take a lot of time, and I'm not going to do it right now because I think we can get in. I want to show you a couple of things. So here's some resources. The first one is that great little sleeping tablet called the Public Law for the Espionage Act. There is another one called Corporate Espionage is Entering a New Era. It's an article that was written. There's another one talking about the actual system itself. There is a company, well, actually a government agency called the DNI, which is the Director of National Intelligence, and they have a counterintelligence organization that looks at the security, and they'll help you with your security program, but they'll also turn around and help you find the culprits and bring them to justice. The last one is the FBI, and people overlook them a lot, but they think that, it's just a government agency. But I'm going to tell you, there's the way they've gone on this right now is there's tremendous activity in the cyber world right now. Boston FBI field office has 6 dedicated agents to cybersecurity. And we had them at one of our ASIS meetings one day. And the comments that came in said that at every week, there's at least 1 to 2 penetrations of a business in the Boston North Shore area. So it kind of leads you to wonder, there's a lot of stuff going on that we're not aware of. And the story that he gave us, there was a defense contractor that was was visited by the FBI agents one day, and they said that we think you might have a problem. And they said, "Oh no, we don't have a problem." You know, and well, we think we thought you might, well, because we found something on the internet that maybe you should look at, and we can help you find it. We just need access to your system, but we, you know, we're not going to take anything. I mean, we just need to look at the URLs and the people that are logging in. And they said, "No, we'll do it ourselves." So 6 weeks later, the FBI agent came back again. So we found some more information, and I think you really ought to take a look at it when, you know, with us, and let us help you find this person. Well, they still didn't believe it. So the agent reaches into his briefcase and pulls out the secret document that was he pulled down off of the internet on a secure project that they were working, and the IT director said, "Where did you get this?" And so we got it off of the internet. You should have seen his draw job. That was what we were told. And they immediately gave them complete access and cooperation. And it took them about 5 weeks, but they did find the person that was causing the penetration. And they did prosecute as much as they could, but they were in another country, so they were limited. So they can be a very good, helpful resource. So any questions before I get into showing some stuff?
Fascinating.
Okay. So when I've opened up my computer laptop here, the top is going to distort everything. So and I'll turn my camera on so you can see what the heck I look like. And I am real. Come on. And where's my camera?
While you're looking for that, Art, I'll tell you, boy, there's some stuff here that many of us haven't thought of. Like, this is really good to know and things to keep an eye out for.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing so I can find my camera.
And while he's finding that, I did put a link to the surveys in the chat window, as well as the certificate. And a recording of this presentation will be posted. And if Art is willing to send the PPT as a PDF, I'll post that as well. But I gave the link to where the recording will be posted.
Okay, I see myself on the screen, so I guess I'm sharing now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mentioned America's favorite video store, right? So anything you want to do, this is an old catalog. But if you went through on all the catalogs, you would say different types of things. Now, Ken has seen the microphone that I used when I was at one of the in-person meetings at an Apex session years ago. And we put it underneath a young lady's shirt, and she recorded all the stuff that she was talking to the person next to her on. And then he kind of like was a little surprised when she reached underneath her shoulder and pulled off the microphone, and it was a little bit shocking for him. But they've been replaced by another company called Super Circuits, and Super Circuits has a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to pull back. I don't know if you can see this. Can anybody see the screen? Okay. See the neckties, the hats, the backpacks. You see the buttons over here. These are you can customize any of this kind of stuff. You can also take them and that's my other video page.
Well, you can
Get 'em in
literally hide
Get
anything.
them in clocks, little clocks, little things, little all kinds of different devices that you can find. Go online, look at supercircuits.com. You'll find them quite interesting.
Oh, and those emergency lights that kick on, even though they're not really emergency lights, they're probably a camera.
Yep, it's true. So the American Management Organization published a book called "Who's Stealing Your Business?" And the person that wrote this book actually has a business that does counter espionage work for businesses to make sure that they are not being penetrated. Some of the stories I gave you today about like the paper mache dragon, that's in this particular book. But it's an easy read. It's not very thick, and you can go through it and find any kind of information you're looking for. If you want to have some fun, everybody see this one? Spy's Guide to Office Espionage. All you have, it's got everything you wanted to know about how to get the dirt on anybody in your company. The interesting thing about this, the foreword is written by, where is it? I want to get the full name correctly. Yeah, the foreword is written by General Oleg Kuligin, who was the KGB director. And so that's how book this is. I bought this book at the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. And I haven't used any of it because if you try any of these things, you might end up, some of them can be illegal, some of them can be fun, but there are countermeasures in here on how to set up countermeasures for the activity. It was back then when I bought it, it was $14. So it might be about the same right now too.
And a safe statement, Art is not advocating anything illegal. He's just
Nope.
telling you so you'll be aware.
All right. I mentioned something about the big ear. This is one of those devices. It's got a microphone here and a place to plug in your headphones. It has you can change, it's directional, so you can move it around a little bit and it'll pick up anything that you want within a good distance, and you can use that for listening. You can also get this is a big one, but it's a voice activated tape recorder. You turn it on and just leave it. And when people talk or when noise happens, it activates the device. Now, these are all Radio Shack devices. I mean, I went down and this is what I bugged the Apex meeting with one year.
I think there are apps on smartphones that you can now do that with, where it'll automatically record when there's voice,
Oh, yeah.
but not otherwise. And you have to turn it on before you walk in your classroom or wherever you have
Yep,
to
you can do
record.
it. So here's an interesting one, and I kind of put this together just to show how simple. So anybody know what this is? I don't know if you can see it. It's a men's deodorant stick from Clinique. All right, if you open up the cover, there's a battery and a set of headphones. And inside the device is a listening device. And I was able to make this by getting some solder paste and a kit, and I put it together in my kitchen. And my wife doesn't know, but I cooked it in the oven to heat up the soldering paste to make it. And if you unscrew the bottom, that's where the microphone is. So I can put this up against the wall and I can hear what's going on the other side of the wall, or I can pull it back and the tube acts as a little bit of a directing cone. This whole little thing was $15 after the deodorant was used. So you don't have to get fancy to find information, but you can also have a lot of fun with this too.
The things we have to look out for now in our companies. All the runners are using deodorant and they leave their stuff in the shower area. Well, maybe they're listening in.
Well, you never know. I mean, you have no idea who's doing what. I mean, if you really want to get paranoid, your company is already eavesdropping on your computer activity. They know what sites you're going to. They know how long you've been on. They know whether you're working. They know all kinds of good stuff. So buyers beware, right? Is that how that goes?
Fascinating.
All right, let me put the screen back on so you can get the last part of the.
This is great. I mean, I know we ran over, but it's just absolutely amazing. And, absolutely stuff we would never hear otherwise.
So here's the contact information if anybody wants to reach me.
This is great, Art. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Excellent presentation. So I'll stay on till probably about 8 or whatever, in case anyone wants to network. I'll shut off the recording now so that anyone who's shy doesn't, you don't have to worry. Recording stopping now, but Art, you did a great job. We'll be sending you a gift card for your excellent participation and presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I can stick around